Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having as good of a day as you possibly can, a great Wednesday in October. If you are down anywhere near the Florida Gulf Coast, or you have regularly traveled to the Florida Gulf Coast on vacation, holiday, whatever you want to call it, it is an absolute war zone based on the pictures that I am being sent back from what Hurricane Michael managed to do down there today and is in the process of doing. It's the third most violent hurricane to ever make landfall, the most violent hurricane to ever make landfall on the Florida Gulf Coast. If somebody is down there right now in that Florida Gulf Coast area and you have in any way usage of your phone or anything else, I don't know. I think probably Rosemary Beach, where my place is probably going to be okay because it's up on a bluff kind of right there on the beach. And Rosemary Beach in general is high. I think 30A has been okay. If you're familiar at all with Rosemary Beach or 30A, the Florida Gulf Coast, I've spent a lot of time down there. As you move down out of Walton Beach, out of South Walton Beach area, like right there on the beach, and into Bay County, which is where Panama City Beach is, and then where Panama City is. If you're familiar at all with my radio show, I have done my radio show a ton down there from a studio in Panama City Beach and Panama City. That area is very flat. And if you think about what the storm surge impacts can be as they come in, typically on 30A, they've done a good job of preserving all of the sand dunes and allowing there to be a natural barricade to prevent the water from coming rolling in. If you're not familiar with 30A, it's the road right along the beach between Destin and Panama City Beach. I know a lot of you have been to either Destin or Panama City Beach, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Fort Walton Beach, all of the area down through there. This is a credit, I think, to the developers there. They maintained that sort of natural seawall so that if you're familiar at all with going down to the beaches, whether you're in Seaside, whether you're in Alice Beach, whether you are in Rosemary, Watercolor, all of these areas, the elevation is such that you have to walk down pretty substantially over the dunes in order to get down to the beach. So my fingers are crossed that 30A is going to emerge. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of damage because a lot of those houses are 60 and 70 years old and they haven't ever really been through a hurricane like this. But I don't think the storm surge is going to be capable of getting into the houses. Now, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I apologize for just not being aware of what's capable there. But if you are down in that area and you want to share whatever video you have of the area around you, you can come in right now and you can send me a image of what the area is like down there. Again, I think a lot of it's going to have to do with how much elevation there is and where exactly the water came in, where there's almost nothing. Like there are, to be honest, there are only a few homes that I have been in or been by. In Inlet Beach, as you move towards Bay County, there are some homes that you can just walk right out, and you can walk right out from the house onto the beach. I think all of those houses are going to be in severe trouble along the Gulf. If you're not on stilts, if your house is not built back a little bit from the water, it's going to be ugly. And I've seen some of the photos and videos from Mexico Beach, which is east of Panama City Beach, where the water has come in to such an extent where the eye of the hurricane came through, and literally the water is all the way to the top of the home. Those homes are finished. They're going to have to just come in and wipe them out completely. There's no way to save those homes. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be an ugly situation for so many people all along the Florida Gulf Coast. And again, if you have images and you want to tag me in them, you want to share them. The only damage I've seen near where we are in Rosemary Beach is that there is a gas station, and for those of you who are really familiar with 30A, where 30A meets 98, there's a Shades sort of sports bar, which we walk to and eat at all the time with the boys to watch games. There's a gas station right there. It's the closest gas station to 98 when you get onto 30A. I've been there a bunch of times. It's destroyed. It's totally destroyed. So it is going to be ugly. And by the way, if I happen to look over and I think, as always, this is not something that I want to see, then you're going to be gone forever. So if I look over and I see somebody over there saying, oh, you know what, ha, 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 this is really funny, you're gone, all right? Because, frankly, if I happen to look at your comments, you are completely wiped out. So that is what is going on right now. Hurricane Michael, going to be massive devastation. I am wearing my shirt. We donated to hurricane relief in Florida and down in Texas as well when the last hurricanes came through. We will do something substantially with the overall hurricane relief fund and everything else. So this is what we did last time. We made a shirt. We put the proceeds into hurricane relief. We will do the same. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be long lasting. We were scheduled right now. I was supposed to be there last weekend. I couldn't do it. We're scheduled right now to be down there over Thanksgiving week. I don't know if the area will be back up and running. Again, I think my particular area of 30A, where we have a beach place in Rosemary, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think that there's going to be major damage there. I could be wrong. But compared to what other people have lost, whatever damage that we had to our place is going to be minor in the grand scheme of things. So, again, if you're down in the area and if you can share any images or any video from along the Florida Gulf Coast and you actually happen to be able to watch this, or you have friends and family who are sending you pictures, just tag me. I would encourage all of you to go check out and see what the damage may be. You guys can tag me and be able to chase it. Rosemary is west of Panama City, so all of 30A is west. All of Destin is west of Panama City. So I think most of the damage happened east of Panama City. So we will see exactly what ends up happening. But again, there are going to be a lot of people hurting. There are going to be a lot of people hurting for a long time. And I think, again, this is one of the third biggest hurricane or most intense hurricane to ever hit the Florida Gulf Coast. We just bought a place down there in April or May and officially closed on it. So I don't just consider that to be a second home in a metaphorical sense. It's literally my second home. So that is a place that I care about deeply. So it appears, yes, somebody said, was Mexico Beach ground zero? Yes. It appears that the number one place to be wiped out was Mexico Beach. And frankly, I've never spent any substantial time down there. But anybody who has, along the Florida Gulf Coast, there is oftentimes a substantial difference in elevation of all those different Gulf Coast towns. And where I am in Rosemary Beach is very elevated. It's one of the hillier areas to the extent they exist coming up from the beach in Florida. Some of them are almost completely flat. And the places that are completely flat are in really substantial and incredibly difficult situations and straits right now. And I think we are going to see for a long time a massive amount of damage and awfulness that came from this storm. So we will see exactly what ends up taking place there. All I can say right now is that Outkick, because it's my second home, we will do something to try and help the people down there. And I just hope that the damage is going to be less significant than may appear to be right now. It appears like it's going to be devastating. And again, this thing was, I believe, just 2 miles an hour short of being a Category 5 storm. It kind of came out of nowhere. I think it's caught a lot of people by surprise how quickly and rapidly it made its way up into the Gulf Coast, took advantage of that warm water, which has been the case all the time, and it just swept right up into the Florida Gulf Coast. Probably going to be the most devastating hurricane to hit the United States since Andrew in 1992. There's probably going to be a lot of people who died. There's going to be a lot of people hurting. It's going to be an ugly, ugly situation, and it's going to be that way for a long time. So, again, I will do whatever I can to help out because I care deeply about the people down there and about that region of the country. I care about all regions of the country, but particularly the ones where you spend a lot of time like myself and my family do. So, again, in terms of the overall impact, people are saying, what about Katrina? Katrina was a flood situation. The actual power of the storm was not that high, which is why the Katrina thing ended up being a disaster because the levees overflowed as a result of flooding. The storm itself was not what destroyed New Orleans. And so if you study hurricanes at all, and I am intrigued and have always done so, Andrew, which came through in 1992, was an incredibly destructive hurricane itself. There's a difference between flooding, which is caused partly by the flood of the hurricane, and the storm itself. It appears this is going to be the most destructive hurricane itself since 1992. It almost ended up, again, being a Category 5, which is unheard of. I believe they said it's going to be potentially the third strongest hurricane to ever hit the United States in recorded history. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening when they actually are able to get in and help some of these people. Again, I'm going to do my best. All right, couple of things as always on this show. Show's brought to you by Sportsbook Review. Run in, go check out everything that you need at sportsbookreview.com for all your gambling and informational related needs. I was watching live when Jim Cantori decided he had to put on a helmet because the storm was so powerful he didn't even want to stand there and risk getting hit by anything swirling through the air. So several different things to run through. This is, as typically is the case, a fun show. Notwithstanding the awfulness of Hurricane Michael, we will do whatever we can to help out. All right, I'm going to have to block some people because if I look over and you are a clear, annoying, and unnecessary commenter, then you're gone forever. All right? So if I happen to look over and you see I see somebody who is like not in any way worthwhile to comment, you are gone. And I rarely read the comments. I probably read 5% of them. But if I happen to look over, then I'm going to wipe you out. And What About Guy is a really annoying guy. All right? I'm pretty well versed in the arguments that I'm making. Okay? And if I happen to look over and you look like an idiot, I'm going to wipe you out. The helmet on Cantori is a perfect example of SBAT. Sometimes be a pussy. All right? Sometimes be a pussy. Not smart to need to decide not to wear the helmet. All right, here are the gambling picks. Here are the gambling picks. We are sitting around right now at 59%. At 59% winners, which is a phenomenal start. Halfway through the college football season, we are at 59%. All right? Here is my blood bank. Tap the veins, boys and girls. I'm going to dive into gambling now. Blood bank guarantee, Central Florida minus 4.5 against Memphis. Central Florida is going to win against Memphis by double digits. I fell absolutely zero doubt about this game. You can say, Clay Travis, you need to get a life. Because I can tell you that I have watched Central Florida at least substantial portions of every one of the game. And I have watched substantial portions of every Memphis game, if not the totality of the game. That's why when I think about Central Florida playing at Memphis, I have watched Memphis struggle against Navy. I have watched Memphis struggle against Tulane. I have watched Central Florida run roughshod over everybody else, okay? The play here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Central Florida, blood bank guarantee coming in on Central Florida minus 4.5, all right? We're also going to hit the over there. The over is going to, no, it doesn't. Look, some of you are so stupid. Some of you are so stupid. This dumb motherfucker over here just said 60% breaks even with the VIG. No, it doesn't. If I see you say something that is so stupid, it makes me realize that you don't deserve to have an opinion over here. You are gone forever. 52% is break even in gambling with the VIG. If you are so stupid that you think you need to win 60% of your bets to win money, then you are gone forever, okay? I am sorry if I happen to look over and I think to myself, that person has the IQ of a snail, and not even a smart snail, like a dumb snail, then you are gone forever and no longer allowed to be involved in our show. Okay? 52%, you show-offs over there with your past the decimal points. 52% beats the VIG. All right? If you can do over 52%, you're making money. Today, not the day to see or say anything incredibly stupid. You are going to be wiped out. I'm ending your ability to comment. All right? Brendan Dassey level IQ. That's a good way of putting it. All right, Tennessee. Look, I think Tennessee is going to keep this game close against Auburn into the fourth quarter. I don't think Auburn has a very good offense. I don't think that Tennessee's defense is awful. As a result, this line was too high. I gave it out to the VIPs at 16.5. It is now Auburn minus 15.5. And the under, I also like in this game. I don't think very many points are going to be scored. I think Auburn's going to win something like 24-13. And so I like Tennessee plus 16.5 when I initially gave it out, and the under. All right? Georgia, I gave this game out at 6.5. It's now up to 8 almost, and I like the under. Georgia's going to go on the road. They're not going to give up very many points. They are going to handle it easily against LSU. Michigan State, Penn State, every year it seems, James Franklin has a game in Happy Valley where he just destroys a competitive team that people expect to be a good game. Now, the line on Michigan State is already inflated a little bit. I think it's out to 13.5. I think Penn State's going to win by 20 or more. I think the over is going to hit as well. Penn State big over Michigan State. The other thing about that Tennessee and Auburn kick, it's an 11 a.m. Central kickoff. They need to ban 11 a.m. Central kickoffs in the SEC. It's one thing if you're in the Eastern part of the SEC, and the game starts at noon. Nobody wants to go to an 11 a.m. Central football game. And so the environment is going to be awful in Jordan-Hare Stadium when that game starts. Everybody's going to be hungover. Most people aren't even going to be there. The student section is not going to be full. Auburn's lost 2 games already, so the game doesn't have that much of an impact. People want to be able to tailgate. They want to be able to have drinks beforehand. They don't want to show up at 8:30 in the morning and have 2 hours till kickoff. It's just a bad idea to play 11 a.m. games. I don't know why they do it. It seems like, I feel like there's more 11 a.m. games this year than there has been in the past. If you want to put an East Coast noon start, I still don't think that's ideal, but 11 a.m. is even worse than the old Jefferson Pilot games that used to kick off at 11:30 Central. 11 a.m. games, ugly, ugly decision in my mind. I like night games. I understand for older people why night games are not ideal to be able to drive back and forth. I like night games personally, but I'm telling you right now, nobody wants to be in an 11 a.m. kickoff. Mizzou-Bama. I'm intrigued by this Mizzou-Bama game because I really don't have a good sense for what's going to happen. My general vibe is that Alabama is going to beat them senseless because I think Nick Saban is going to be furious over having given up 31 points to Arkansas, even though the final points happened with 18 seconds left in the game. So I think Mizzou's offense is not going to have a lot of success. I think Bama will score 55 or 60. And so I think Bama I'm betting the over here, and I'm betting Bama minus 28. But I think Bama is going to come out ready for blood. I don't know how aggressive Mizzou's going to be in play calling. I don't know whether they're going to play to score a lot of points and try to extend this game and have a lot of possessions, or if they're going to try to run the football because their wide receiver health is not great. The Mizzou defense has not been very good, and Tua has been virtually unstoppable. If you watched an earlier version of this show, you know I rolled out the argument that Tua arguably has produced the 6 best games in the history of college football. People can say, oh, Alabama hasn't played anybody. Get out of here. Get out of here with the Alabama hasn't played anybody argument. Alabama has beaten everybody by 20 plus, and Tua hasn't even played in the fourth quarter. He has put together, I'm not kidding about this, if you look at the stats, SB Nation did all the deep dive on this data, the 6 greatest quarterback game performances in the history of college football. He's been unbelievable, infinitely better than anybody could have ever anticipated. And so I think this is an undoubted play on Alabama minus 28. I'm also playing the over. Florida at Vandy, I'm on Florida -7 and the under. It's right now around 50.5, I believe, on the under. Here is what I would like to see. I would like to see Florida dip down beneath 7 if you could get them at 6.5. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know you can buy them down. I kind of like the Gators at 6.5 to protect yourself against the 7. But I think that's worth paying attention to see whether or not there's any possibility of that ending up happening. We'll have to see for sure whether that makes any sense or if it's going to happen at all. That's the question, whether that line's going to continue to come back down. I don't think Vandy's very good. I think it's a bad matchup for Vandy. If you looked at what happened in the South Carolina game, South Carolina's offensive and defensive lines are not as good as Florida's, and Florida was able to South Carolina completely dominated Vandy. I think something similar is going to happen again. Those are my 13 picks. I would encourage you guys to run through and make sure you jump all over those, all of them. Great plays. One more really quick run through I'm going to give to you. Here we go again. All 13 picks. Get your pencils ready. They're also up on Outkick. Central Florida -4.5 at Memphis and the over. Tennessee plus 16.5. I gave it out against Auburn. We have got Georgia -6.5 at LSU and the under. We have got Michigan State at Penn State. We have got Penn State -13.5 and the over. Ole Miss at Arkansas, the over. Two worst defenses in the SEC. Each is going to score 35. And Mizzou, Bama, the -28 and the over. And Florida -7 and the under. All of those are my gambling picks. All right, I'm going to call the show, bring the show a little bit short today. Tomorrow, I will talk more about this Tiger. This is an unbelievable story. I'm going to talk more about the Tiger tomorrow. I'll dive into that again. But I appreciate all of you. I will hopefully continue to we'll get some decent updates from Hurricane Michael. Prayers up for everybody down along the Florida Gulf Coast and everybody in Georgia and the Carolinas who's going to have to deal with this storm as it comes through. I appreciate all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. I'll be on Lock It In a little bit. Wanted to give you all the gambling picks. Animal Thunderdome. We will talk all about the Tiger probably on tomorrow's show. We talked all about it on the radio show this morning. So if you want to hear me talk all about the Tiger, you can go download the podcast, Outkick the Coverage radio show. All right. I'll see you guys. Love you. My name is Clay Travis. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. See y'all.